Hello, my name is music teacher Kate. I was just singing the major scale in solfege. Would you like to try? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. The major scale is a series of pitches organized by a formula of whole steps and half steps in order to produce a sound characteristic found commonly in musics around the world. The major scale functions as sort of a mother scale for all Western tonal music. The first specific major scale we'll study is the C major scale. The reason we start with the C major scale is that the C major scale has no sharps, no flats. It just lays out C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. In the C major scale, C is do, D is re, E is mi, F is fa, G is sol, A is la, B is ti, and C is do again. C is do, D is re, E is mi, F is fa, G is sol, A is la, B is ti, C is do. Once I have C major scale under my fingers and in my eyes, I can then break down the formula for building a major scale, regardless of which pitch is my do. You see, what I love about music theory is that it's not about memorizing a bunch of arbitrary consecutive pitches to build your scales. There is an absolute logic to building these scales. Let me show you. Starting by analyzing C major scale. From C to D, we have a whole step. From D to E, we have a whole step. From E to F, we have a half step. From F to G, we have a whole step. From G to A, we have a whole step. From A to B, we have a whole step. And from B back up to C, we have a half step. So what we learned by looking at the C major scale on our musical calculator, the piano keyboard, we found out that between C and D, we need a whole step. That between D and E, we also need a whole step. But that between E and F, we actually need a half step. Let's use a different color. Between E and F, we're actually going to need a half step. And then between F and G, we found that it's a whole step. Between G and A, we found it is also a whole step. Between A and B, another whole step. But then, between B and C, we had half step. This is our formula for building the major scale. Whether you're starting from C as do, or you're starting from some other note completely, if you follow this formula of whole steps and half steps, you will be able to build a major scale. Because regardless of this part, regardless of the specific pitches, in order to build a major scale, you need a whole step between do and re. You need a whole step between re and mi. You need a half step between mi and fa. You need a whole step between fa and sol. You need a whole step between sol and la. You need a whole step between la and ti. You need a half step back up to do every time. Now, for a few clarifications, you also need do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and no other notes, right? There's only 7 pitches. You can think of it as 8 pitches if you like, but 8 is really just one again because it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 8 is the same as 1. It's also important to note there's a rule about naming the pitches in your major scale. Every single letter of the musical alphabet has to be represented. So, for example, in C major scale, I'm going to call C do. Re will be D. Mi will be E. Fa will be F. Fa will not be E sharp. Even though E sharp and F are enharmonic notes, I cannot call F E sharp in the key of C major because E is already represented in that major scale. I need to move on to the next letter. Okay, let's make G our new do. So G is my new do. Let's build a major scale. Between do and re, I need a whole step. Between re and mi, I need a whole step. Between mi and fa, I need a half step. Between fa and sol, I need a whole step. Between sol and la, I need a whole step. Between la and ti, I need a whole step. And then from ti, it's always a half step back up to do. The pitches of the G major scale are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. I would never call F sharp G flat in the key of G because obviously G is represented in the G major scale. It's do. Now we'll make A the new do. Using this A string at the bottom of my ukulele, I'll play do. I'll go up a whole step to re, up a whole step to mi, up a half step to fa, up a whole step to sol, up a whole step to la, up a whole step to ti, and then of course a half step back up to do. This formula will build you a major scale starting from any do, however sharp, flat, or natural. If we think about how powerful this knowledge is, at this point, you could pick up an instrument, and as long as you know how to move the pitches by half steps, you can build major scales on any instrument. You can.